Alright, you guys, as I said in the last video, I threatened you guys with a video on the eclipse, and here it is. So, I'm just gonna, and I think intuitively I talked with a friend a couple days ago and just kind of came up with my own insight into this eclipse, so I'm sure I'll remember and just go off that. I did do a human design for it, but I just kind of, it's gonna be the same, pretty much the same chart I showed you in the Gate 63 video, so if you just watch that, you'll see the chart for it, and I'll just keep this chart for this one. So let me see if I want to grab my notes that I did for this so I could at least get into that. So this one is a Virgo eclipse, and it's, you could see it's at sun, or the moon's at 12 degrees. So this is a full moon lunar eclipse, blood moon, the last blood moon until 2028. And that's pretty significant. So it's an ending of a lunar cycle, the beginning of a new lunar cycle. A lot of things are going on in this. The biggest thing is you could see the nodes. The north node is at Pisces, 8 degrees, and that's conjuncting the sun in Pisces. So the moon, it being a lunar eclipse, the moon is in conjunction with the 8-degree Virgo south node, and the south node acts as like Neptune. It can't hold anything together, so the energy kind of just falls out. And eclipses are outages. They're like power outages or power surges. And in this particular case, it kind of varies from eclipses. It's going to be felt both in the polarity of the Virgo Pisces energy around those degrees. And because it's a total lunar eclipse, there will be a vortex of some kind opening up. Souls will leave, souls will come in. We ourselves will go through some kind of vortex experience. And so, be cautious out there. This is Virgo, so this rules all the things that Virgo rules, especially related to health, and then hotels, hospitals, immigrants, the poor, homeless, wild animals, ocean life, oceans, wards, old age homes, any type of place where people dwell alone too, like ashrams or prisons or institutions. And, this affects our mental health, our solitude, our meditation, our spiritual work, our sleep. And, as any lunar eclipse being a full moon, something will be brought to a head. So, the cautions around this, of course, is, make sure your health is good. Make sure you're taking care of your diet, your nutrition. Make sure work is going well. Don't test anybody. Don't try and irritate people. People are going to be short-tempered at this time period. The emotions are kind of on edge on a Virgo eclipse. This, of course, rules farmers and gardeners. So it could bring drought, like some of these eclipses. Sometimes with eclipses, a Virgo eclipse is a dry eclipse, and people with blood sugar issues should be extra cautious. So make sure not too many sweets during this time. And of course, the organs to pay attention to would be the liver, pancreas, upper bowel, colon, spleen. And it's an important time to support these organs. And it's not a time to overeat. So this eclipse again presents a good time for reassessing health needs and your diet plan. And, be sure you're making healthy choices. And, as usual, don't fear chaos. Employ it, and pay attention to what comes up too. Like sometimes, energy will come up because the verse wants you to look at it. So don't feel like you need to be too Virgo obsessed with making sure you have everything in order. Definitely have a list, things you want to do or look at or take care of, but don't go overboard. So looking back at the chart, now this chart I did for Washington, Washington, Los Angeles County. I guess I thought I put in Washington D.C. So I guess we're looking at it for the West Coast. So about 2:11 a.m. So this will be, tomorrow's the second. It'll be tomorrow, but after tomorrow it'll be after midnight. So a couple hours. So that's interesting. So what that means is we got a lot of other stuff too. I mean, the sun is conjunct Mercury, not too far, in Pisces, as well as Venus in Pisces, as well as Mars in Pisces. I mean, so it's kind of a stellium there. I mean, it's a little wide in degrees. And then this Virgo South Node. So what we're looking at with this eclipse is that polarity of Virgo. Now, Virgo wants to organize, clean up the mess, right? So, the eclipse will bring about some kind of mess to a head, and then, the eclipse, the Virgo moon's going to want to clean it up. So this is a mess that has to be cleaned up. But ultimately, during this time period, what's building is a lot of psychic, emotional energy and etheric formations of Neptune. So a lot of Play-Doh, like a lot of us are still constructing our reality goals and structures that we want to see implemented. And because we're in a Pisces retrograde, there's a lot of reflection and internalization of how we want to present and bring into reality these structures. So I feel like a lot of us are forming new plans and ideas. Personally, I know a lot of people moving, a lot of people fed up with what's going on with their housing situations, and they've just reached, they're just done with it. It's just reaching culmination, and it's time for the next step. What's the next step? So I see this playing out over until March 20th. So today's March 1st, March 2nd, as of 15 minutes ago. So we're moving towards that spring equinox period where we'll have a stellium in Aries in April, which is going to be out of this world. It's really powerful. And we're still building toward that. So expect clarity to come in around the spring equinox. I'd say around March 20th for sure. And that's what it is. And I like to encourage everyone to stay inside during eclipses. These are on some level, these are just curses over light, over the light that activates reality, this realm that we experience. And I think I'll leave it at that unless I can see anything else here. So Moon in Virgo. Moon in Virgo, always a great time to clean up, organize things. And with that Sun in Pisces, we have the life force transiting through in a very mystical way. Where it's about what you feel, not what you see. Don't get too caught up with the South Node. This eclipse is conjuncting the South Node. We've been there. It's karmic. We have overthought certain things in the past. But this time you see all that activation down here around the North Node. Mars, the Sun, Mercury, Venus. You see all these planets in Pisces are, moving around there. The Aries vortex you see is close by. Just having left Pisces. And you see it all opposing the moon. And the moon's all alone there, in polarity, in opposition to everything going on. So the moon is asking us to clean up a mess, and it'll come to a head, and that's what we'll do. And we'll do it in such a way that there's discernment, not judgment. We don't need the overcriticalness and the usual judgment of Virgo, but just something a little compassionately discerning, like a nice balance. As I say, with all the polarities of the signs, Pisces and Virgo being opposite signs, in the center you find the medicine. In the center between Pisces and Virgo. And Virgo's of service, and Virgo's in discernment, and Pisces brings compassion, and so you find that middle ground, that balance. And that's really what we want out of life, is to find the balance and move within that balance. All right, you guys, thanks so much. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next video.